All right, so my project and research was on technology and sports with an emphasis on hockey and golf. So for my introduction, technology has taken sports to a whole new level from where sports originally started. Kind of three main points that I want to make throughout this presentation is that now they're easier to play through technology, they're cheaper, and they're going to be open to a wider variety of people through this technology. I wanted to show an early example of a sport to show the drastic change in sports today. Pocketalk was a game created by the Mayas in 1400 BC. This game was a game played in a stadium with two hoops on each side, and the point was to get the ball into the hoop without using your hands or your feet. This was played for their ancestors and for the gods, and it symbolizes the struggle of life, death, and war. Sometimes if you lost a game of Pocketalk, you could be sacrificed to the gods, which kind of shows how different sports were back in the day. It was more than just a game. It was like very important to society as a whole, and you had a lot on the line playing the game. So the evolution of sports doesn't just have to do with technology. This is kind of something that shows how sports came to be and why they came to be. Point one states that the most popular modern male sports require the skills needed for success in male physical competition in primitive hunting and warfare. Point two states that champion male athletes obtain high status and thereby reproductive opportunities in ways that parallel those gained by successful hunters and warriors. Point three is men pay closer attention than women do to male sports so they can evaluate potential allies and rivals. And point four states that male sports become culturally more important when opportunities to evaluate potential allies declined. So point four means that when hunting and combat declined, sports became more important, so males could evaluate other males, and kind of what point three states is males pay closer attention so they can gain allies. This is obviously more important back in the day, but now I think males still pay more attention to sports and kind of see that these males are better than everyone else at their specific sport, so people then watch them, and that's essentially what professionals do. So I'm going to start with the history of golf. It dates back to medieval China in 1950 AD in a game called Chuan. Players used clubs to hit wooden balls into a goal, which would be the hole. In 1457, the earliest reference to golf in Europe was when the Scottish Parliament banned golf. It's a common misconception that golf was actually created in Scotland, which is what I originally thought. The first kind of clubs that they used were ladle clubs and a wooden ball, which is obviously different today, but can show similarities to the past. And then the first golf courses were actually created in Scotland, of what we know as a modern golf course today. I think that's why people thought that Scotland was the home of golf, because the first actual courses were there, but like I said, it dates back to China in 950 AD. The golf ball is very important to the game of golf. It's one of the biggest pieces of technology that has really changed the game. At first, there was a wooden ball, which was probably used when the game wasn't fully developed, and was more of like a mini putt kind of game that they did back in China. It was then developed into the hairy golf ball, which was hand sewn with cow hair and straw, and that was kind of the common ball used in the 18th century. The feathery golf ball was next, which was made with goose and chicken feathers. It was a longer process to make these balls, which made them more expensive. It's pictured here in the slide, and you can see that these balls were not perfectly round, and if they got wet, they would fall apart pretty easily. So this expensive process really didn't make sense, and they needed new technology to make a better ball, which went into the gutty ball, which was made from dried sap. You could heat this up like rubber and plastic and form it into a ball. This is also when they experimented with dimples on the balls, like you see in the modern ball. In today's society, like I said, the most important thing in golf, I think, is the ball. They're now made with a rubber core with dimples on the outside, so they fly straighter and farther. Companies can also make balls that travel further on purpose, or you can get them to travel less distance. You can get balls that fly higher and lower and spin more or spin less. Another huge area of technology in golf is within the clubs. I'm going to specifically look at the game improvement irons. What these clubs do is have a larger sweet spot, which makes them easier for the common golfer to hit and play better golf. As you can see in this picture, that's a blade iron, which has way less forgiveness than this iron here with the cavity back. So the iron on the left is forged and does not have a big sweet spot. It's for really good golfers, and this iron on the right has a much bigger sweet spot. So it opens up the game to more people to play better golf and shoot lower scores. Moment of inertia means that a golf shot that's hit either off the toe or the heel will either go to the left or the right. Off-center hits will also result in a lack of distance on the golf shot. Increasing MOI means that when a ball is struck either off the toe or the heel, the ball will stay straight to the target and go the distance intended, or closer to the distance intended. Lowering the CG, or the center of gravity of the club, means that clubs with lower lofts that are usually harder to hit are going to go higher in the air. In doing this, players will be able to stop the ball on the green closer to their intended target, which means that they can go out and shoot lower scores. I think these clubs are really good for the growth of the game due to the technology making it easier for players to go out, shoot better scores, and want to come back and play golf over and over again. Going into how technology has kind of changed the game in professional golfers today versus the past. Big hitters such as Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy can hit drives of 350 yards with ease, which was not very common back in the day, even with the best players in the world. I think the golf ball, like I said, is a huge impact of this. Without the golf ball advancements, players even today wouldn't be able to hit the ball this far. I kind of have two examples of this. One is Fred Couples, who still plays golf on the PGA Tour today. At age 22, when he was young and injury-free, could hit the ball about 268 yards off the tee on average. And now at age 58, he averages 297 yards off the tee and has had issues with back problems. So it shows that the equipment, even when he's older and has back problems, still makes up a lot of yards, and it's just a testament to how much the equipment helps. There was also an example of Chad Campbell, who's a professional golfer, testing out his current driver versus a driver in the past. With the old driver, he averaged 230 yards off the tee, and with his new driver, he averaged 270 yards. So he had a 40-yard difference just because of the driver. And a main contributor to this was due to the swing speed. With the old technology was a lot slower than with the new technology. Moving into the history of hockey, it dates back to 2000 BC in the Middle and Far East, where a mural of two men with hockey sticks, or curved sticks, which are hockey sticks, were fighting over a ball. In Africa, there was a game called Jenna that was very similar to field hockey today. And then in England, they played a game called bandy, which was the first game to be played on ice and not in the field. Windsor, Ontario is the birthplace of modern hockey, and hockey is now most popular in North America. And it's where you see, obviously, the National Hockey League today, which is the most popular league in the world. I think the hockey stick is one of the main contributors in technology that's made the game better. The first sticks were made out of wood from a hornbeam tree that were shorter with blades that turn up, like pictured here. They're obviously a lot shorter, and there's no way you could shoot as hard with that as you can shoot with the picture of the modern stick down here. After the hornbeam tree stick, they went into using yellow birch. They did this because it was stronger and more flexible. Once they moved into two-piece sticks, that's when they started using graphite and fiberglass to make the stick stronger and lighter. At first, they would use a composite shaft of the stick with a wooden blade, and then that moved into composite shafts and blades that you put together using glue. And then obviously that adapted into the one-piece composite stick that are used today. These sticks are way lighter, more flexible, you can shoot harder, and they last a lot longer. Safety is obviously a huge thing in hockey, and the hockey helmet is kind of the main thing to that. In today's society, there's a lot of talk about concussion, And with the hockey helmet advancements, I think that it can grow the game to a wider variety of people because it's a safer game to play and parents won't be as concerned for their kids going out and starting to play hockey. Virginia Tech has come up with a 5-star hockey helmet system, which rates helmets that are out on the market that have already passed the standard testing to get onto the market. The CCM FitLight 500, which is pictured at the bottom here, was the first helmet to score a perfect score in this testing. And like I said before, parents can feel comfortable sending their kids out on the ice with this new helmet that is the safest on the market and don't have to worry as much about the contact to the head, which comes in hockey. And then these other two pictures are just showing that players in the NHL used to not wear helmets at all. And then this picture in the middle is just an example of what an early helmet was. It was really just a piece of plastic that you put on your head for some minimal safety. I want to go into the NHL evolution, how players have gotten better through technology and the things they are doing. Players are faster, stronger, more skilled, better coached, better equipped, and better nourished than ever before. The equipment obviously has a lot to do with this. Players have trainers, they have nutritionists, they can go in and get massages after their games, and this is all due to technology around the game. They're also faster, more skilled because of the equipment they're using. Like I said, the stick is obviously very important. NHL players can shoot a lot faster now than they had in the past and can skate a lot faster with the new skates that they have today. Although technology has changed the game a lot, I think it's still going to be a skill-based league. Players are obviously getting bigger and stronger, but through this, with the equipment, skilled players will still be able to play in the league with the big guys, and you can see that in kind of the points in the NHL recently. Still, there's smaller guys that are at the top of the leaderboards in points, and I think this has a lot to do with technology and making them able to play with the big guys that there are in the NHL. So my conclusion is that technology clearly plays a huge role in sports, specifically hockey and golf. The changes within the last 50 years are pretty drastic, and I think with technology continuing, the games will keep changing, and some changes might have to be made. But in turn, the growth of the game is obviously what this paper is kind of about, and I think what's really important and how technology is helping this. The game's going to be cheaper because back in the day, they could only make one model that was at a set price. In today's game, the top of the line model is obviously going to be expensive, but they can make more models, which is going to open the game to new players. Obviously, families that aren't as wealthy can get into the game. There's cheaper models, so everyone can go out and play. It also kind of opens up more like role models to the game because more people are getting involved. There's players coming from different countries that are making it to the professional ranks. From different states within the United States. Austin Matthews is a good example of this. He's from Arizona. He now plays in the NHL. You rarely see that coming from a state like Arizona. But now the hockey community is really growing there, which only makes the game better and is going to make the leagues more competitive. And yeah, like I said, technology obviously makes players better at the sport because it's easier to play. The skates are obviously more advanced, which makes it easier for kids to learn how to skate, which gets them into playing hockey in the first place. Within golf, kids are able to use these clubs that are easier to hit and using a ball that goes straighter, so they'll have more fun playing the game. It's obviously kind of hard to get kids involved in golf because you have to be pretty patient, but if they're succeeding at it, it will obviously get them into the game. So I think the future for both of these sports is pretty bright, and with technology, it'll only open up the game to more players. Thanks.